All right, we're going to continue with chapter 4 by doing 4.1 and the first half of chapter 4.2. So we're going to talk about the nth root and rational exponents and properties of rational exponents and radicals, which we've kind of already talked about, but the key here is the word rational. So these are exponents that are fractions. And you're going to see that the properties are exactly the same. It's just that it gets a little trickier when you're dealing with fractions. Okay, so just a couple of vocabulary words. A radical expression is defined as any expression containing a radical symbol. Okay, and the index of a number says how many times to use the number in multiplication. And that's kind of a hard definition. It says an nth root of a is written as, the n is right here, okay, where n is the index of the radical. So for example, if I take the cube root of 8, I get 2, which means that 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So I have to multiply this number 3 times to get 8, and that's what that definition means. Okay, this is important. It says many people mistakenly call this a square root symbol, including me. I do it too. Okay, we call it the square root symbol. And many times it is used to determine the square root of a number. However, it can also be used to describe other roots, such as the cube root or the fourth root. So technically, it's not a square root sign, it's a radical sign. But most of the time we're doing square roots when we're using this symbol, so that's why most of us call it a square root symbol. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. It says find the indicated real nth roots of a. Okay, so here we start. Here's what we're going to put our numbers in this form right here. So I've got the cube root of negative 125. But Mrs. Oldham, it's negative. We can't use it if it's under the radical sign, if it's negative. Ooh, but we can, because it is a cube root. So this is actually negative 5. So how can I check that? Well, negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5 is negative 125. Okay, so this one we have a 2 here and a negative 400. When the 2 is there, that's our square root. Okay, and in this case, we can't do it because we do have a negative there. Now, we could do an I, but we're not talking about complex numbers. Right now, we're talking about real numbers. Okay, and finally, if I take the 6th root of 64, what do I have to multiply by itself to get 64? And the answer is 2. Okay, so rational powers are with fractional exponents. Okay, this is really important to remember. Okay, so we have a to the 1 over n power is our index. So the nth power goes right here, and it's a to the 1 over n. So the square root of 16 is 16 to the 1/2 power. All right? Down here, if we have something like 16 to the 3/2 power, okay, if we're writing it in radical form, then this is going to be, okay, the 2 goes here, that's our index, and then the top number comes out here, or it could also go underneath there. I usually write it like this though. Okay, so that's just a matter of remembering where these numbers go. So the one on the bottom is the index. It's the one that goes right here. Honestly, to me, this reminds me of a house, and this reminds me of where you would put plants, like in the front of your house. I don't know why. So this is where you put the plants. I don't know. Okay, so evaluate without using a calculator. All right, so we need to remember what we've got going on here. If we write this in radical form, okay, we're going to have a 2 here, and we're going to have a 3 here. Well, what is the square root of 16? It is 4, and 4 cubed is 64. You could also rewrite it like this. You could do 16 to the 1/2 power, and then cubed. I actually prefer this over the radical signs. But, so this gives you 4 to the 3rd, which is 64. So here, we have a negative exponent, so I'm going to flip it first. So I have 1 over 32 to the 3/5 power. Okay, so using the radical form, I've got my index is 5. Okay, and then I put the whole thing to the 3rd power. So the 5th root of 32 is 2, cubed is 1 over 8. Now if I use it not using the radical sign, then I'm going to have 1 over 32 to the 1/5, and then that thing to the 3rd power. Like I said, to me this makes more sense. I think it's way easier than this. So this is our 2 to the 3rd, which is our 1/8. And you've got some homework problems like that. Okay, these are a little bit easier. This is mostly just to make it so that you guys know how to use your calculators. Let me grab mine really fast. So how you're going to put these in your calculator is you're going to do 9 and then the caret, parenthesis 1 divided by 5, and enter. And the answer is, this one's 1.55. Okay, this one you'll put in 12, caret 3, and I don't know, maybe your calculator does that. 3 divided by 8. And the answer to this one is 2.54. Okay, this one I think needs to be put in exponential form. All right, so I'm going to, this is my index, so that goes on the bottom, and then this is what power it's going to. So this is 7 to the 3/4 power. So I got 7 caret 3 divided by 4, and I get 4.30. Okay, so that might be worth getting out your calculator and just making sure that you know how to do those. Okay, lastly, we're going to find the real solutions of these equations here. So first I have 4x to the 5th equals 128. And I need to get x by itself. So I'm going to divide by 4 first. And I get x to the 5th equals 32. Well, what multiplied by itself 5 times gives me 32? 2. So in this case, I have 2 as an answer. Not, we had talked before about plus or minus 2. This can't be a minus 2, otherwise this would be a minus. So it's positive. Okay, over here we have x minus 3 to the 4th power equals 21. Again, I need to get x by itself. So I am going to take the 4th root of both sides. Whatever I do to one side, I need to do to the other side. Okay, so I'm going to take the 4th root of both of these. And I can do it a couple of different ways. I can do it like this and have that be the cube or the 4th root. I could also write it like this, to the 1/4 power equals 21 to the 1/4 power. Okay, and you can see when you multiply those together, you get 1. So I'm left with x minus 3 equals, we'll do it radical form. And then I add 3 to both sides. And in this case, because this is an even number, I actually do have plus or minus the 4th root of 21. And you can figure this out. The answers, when you put them in your calculator, your answers are 5.14 approximately, and approximately 0.86. All right, that is it for 4.1. We'll start 4.2 in the next video.